super excited about today. I get to host, and we're going to talk about This is Strategy by Seth Godin. How many of us have read one of Seth's books?
Oh yeah.
Permission Marketing, Purple Cow, The Dip, right? I think he has 20 consecutive national bestsellers. Can you imagine? This will very likely be his 21st. And what prompted me, besides the fact that I happen to be reading it at the moment, what prompted me to want to share it with you guys today is that most of us, especially those of us that show up like you guys do, are thinking about
I'll go in the
2025.
back room in a minute so you can turn on Dan Bondino.
Okay, somebody needs to mute. And so a lot of us are thinking about what's our business plan for 2025, right? Here it is, November 20th or something. I think it was Rev Share Day yesterday. And so we're wanting to have a plan. And I've never before in my life seen so many posts in these real estate masterminds on Facebook like, oh my gosh, my deal fell out. I've got to get one quick. What do I do? Are you guys seeing these posts? I mean, it's like, holy cow. It blows my mind that someone could be in this business and not know what to do to cause a transaction to occur. And the problem is, of course, when you get in that situation, people tend to develop commission breath, and not very many things actually work when you're in a space of scarcity like that. So you have to be careful to not do that, of course. And so I think most of us make goals at the end of the year. Who does New Year's resolutions? Right? Most of us. Tracy, you just don't do it, do you? Is that the deal, or you just have a heavy hand today? You don't do New Year's resolutions or goals? You're muted.
Yeah, I have a new computer and everything seems to be in a different spot now. So, and too clear of a camera, I think also. But no, I periodically change my goals. It's not necessarily New Year's resolutions. I usually do a vision board for the year, but then my goals will change throughout the year as
okay.
to achieve
well,
them.
You've got some big board there beside you.
This is my calendar and pipeline and active stuff going on back here.
Very cool.
Yes.
Very cool. Okay. So a lot of us will do either New Year's resolutions, we'll go do goals. I remember when I was running my KW office back in the day, I had told my OP Wayne Hall, I'm going to get everyone to do a business plan. Oh my gosh, was I completely insane? There's no way you're going to get 200 agents in an office to all do a written business plan. Anyway, that was a little optimistic. But my point today is that these things that we hear about, whether it's cold calling, door knocking, open houses, direct mail, internet leads, every single thing does work different for different people, okay? But it's not a strategy, it's a tactic. And on their own, all that does, those activities, is buy you a ticket to a treadmill ride the next day. Can you earn an income that way? Yes. But it is literally eventually becomes a life of torture, because someday you're going to want to get off that treadmill. And if you haven't formed a strategy that can bring business to you rather than you having to pick up what becomes that 100-pound phone, you're going to regret it. And I don't want you to have regrets, okay? I want you to have a strategy. So in preparation for chatting with you today, I was going back through some of the stuff that I had been reading in Seth's book, and he says, strategy is a philosophy of becoming. So one of the things that Stephen Covey would tell us was what we want you to begin with the end in mind. Okay. Now, why is that important? It's not just a goal, but it gives you a destination. Okay. And one of the things that Seth talks about in his book is I want you to think of that and then run your plan as though you have a compass, not a map. And what does he mean by that? Like, for example, today, I went on a mountain bike ride, okay? I'm coming back from my ride, minding my own business, doing my normal little way back home. What do you know? There's a parade. Fire trucks and the whole band, and I'm not going to be going back the same way today, okay? And so I had to turn on some dirt road and go around, and okay, it took me an extra 5 minutes to get home. My point though is that if I just went by the map, I'm going to do step 1 and step 2 and step 3. That plan would not have worked today because I was facing an obstacle that the map hadn't planned on. You know, I was talking with Jerry Ann out of Tennessee, and of course it's been about a month now, but when that hurricane came through Asheville, which was only about an hour, by the way the crow flies, from her house, I go, well, Jerry Ann, is there, because she was saying, well, yeah, people are not able to get in to these people to get them supplies. And I go, well, is it because trees blew over onto the road? And she's like, no, the whole mountain slid down. There's no road. Okay, it's going to be months before they're able to get a regular vehicle in to see these people. They were literally airlifting in supplies and Starlink so that they could communicate with these people because they were trapped, right? By the way, she and her family and friends, her sphere, they got 3,000 coats for those guys. Because apparently a lot of that area is impoverished and it's getting cold there now this time of year. It's at elevation. But my point of this is, you guys, shit happens. Okay. We're in a market right now that is, from a transactional level, it's as difficult as the crash of 2008. In 2008, we did 4 million transactions. And we haven't quite closed the year, but we are projected to actually close fewer than that, fewer transactions than during the great financial crash, okay? So we're in the middle of shit happening, okay? And I know some of you, like Danielle and her team, are just crushing it, all right? In spite of that, right? So, but what is your plan? You know, I had somebody come to me a few months ago and he's like, Don, gosh, I'm really struggling with attraction. So I've been talking about production so far, but he came to me with this issue about attraction. And I go, okay, well, tell me about your plan. What's your plan for attraction? Could you send it to me? I'll take a look. Who thinks that maybe this gentleman did not have a written plan? Exactly. Okay. He's, as Zig Ziglar said, he's a wandering generality. All right. So my question to you guys is not necessarily what are you going to do today? I know if you cold call, door knock, open house, whatever, you can make money today. But what is your strategy? Does anybody have a strategy that they feel, and actually, let me give you guys some context before you offer up your solution. When I'm talking about a strategy, I'm talking about And I will tell you, from having over 5,000 agents work in my brokerages, I can tell you the agents that are the most stable, the most successful and most consistently over the longest period of time do one thing. And what it is they are geographical marketers that worked through their sphere. So they built their sphere out of their geographic market. Those are the folks that last. Those are the folks that their efforts are magnified by concentrating their energies in one geographical area. Okay, so a geographical strategy is one way. It's not the only way. Okay. Another thing that you can do is you could have a demographic niche. So you could focus on military first responders. Let's say that's your background. You could focus on teachers, doctors, right? In other words, you could choose a demographic niche that you related to and uniquely understood their needs. Okay. A third possible niche could be a property type, right? So, for example, back in the day, Tom was an REO agent, right? You could do distressed property. You could do luxury homes. I've told you guys before, when I first got into the business, I moved into a new market. I was super intimidated by it. So I decided to just focus on 5 condominium buildings. So I was the condo king. Self-proclaimed, by the way. But anyway, I did have, by the second month I was in this business, I had a full page ad, 12 condos in Harmon Homes, none of which were my listings. Okay. All listings that were provided to me by permission of other people. But slowly but surely, I replace those with others. Okay. Now, perhaps today, except maybe in Tahoe Tony's area, homes magazines are not really the thing, right? That era has sort of passed, and now we have the internet. By the way, when I started selling real estate, we still had an MLS book. Tom probably, well, I know Tom remembers those days because he even started a few years ahead of me. But okay, now, so I've given you guys the 3 possible choices. And if you have a strategy that is different or separate from those, I'm open to that as well. But does anybody have a strategy today? So geographic, demographic, or property type? Tahoe Tony remembers the MLS books. All right. Come on. Russell, what you got?
Sure, Don. Like, it's interesting how you just went through that, because before I got into the business, I didn't have the ability to fail because I had all these mouths to feed. And when I interviewed the top agents, they did exactly what you just said. They either dominated a geographic area,
Yep.
or they dominated a niche. And I didn't know any better when I got into the business in 2019 that we were at an all-time low in REO properties, but I bought foreclosures forever. So now I sit on a board on the NADP, the National Association of Default Professionals, and I'm in the hardest association to get into for REO brokers, the NRBA. And I just picked up 8 more listings this week that are REOs, all from 2 of my best clients. So yeah, the niche or the farm is absolutely the way to go. Make yourself an expert. I'm helping people get into homes using SB 1079 and AB 1527, which are 2 new laws here in the state of California for distressed homes. I know that process perfectly. And, you know, I even collaborated with Tom a bit. So you're spot on.
Yeah, thank you. By the way, this morning, I saw a post by Amir, and he posted an income property that had a assumable 2.75% fixed rate. Guys, that is a good deal, in case you were wondering. Okay.
Just so you know, we now have it in contract.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay. So my point is that one of the things that has caused Tom Daves to be so successful in terms of volume for so long is that he will typically skate to where the puck's going. So when the REO deal became a big thing, well, actually, you know, the reason why I met Tom Daves is because we were out there butting heads doing expires. It was the early 90s. There was 18 to 24 months of inventory. So what do you think was a hot opportunity in Sacramento? Expires, baby, right? So one of the other things that you want to be thinking about when you're developing your strategy is what makes sense today. Well, getting yourself a property radar subscription and finding out every income property. I mean, how long did it take you, Russell, to get that property under contract that had a 2.75% fixed rate loan on it?
One day.
Bingo. Okay. So do we give that idea to the people on Facebook that are saying, hey, my deal fell out, how do I make another deal? No, they can't even figure out that. Well, first of all, they can't even probably afford to buy a property radar subscription. But the point is that is a strategy that is really relevant in today's market. I've told you guys before, if I were selling today, man, I would be doing 1,000 pieces of direct mail every single month to assumables, right? I would of course have a buyer for that area, and then I would market into the properties that had assumable rate loans that fit their basic criteria, right? I saw another post on Facebook 2 days ago. It says, I hand wrote 350 letters to sellers on behalf of my buyer. I got 3 listings. But then they said, well, is there an easier way I could do this? I'm thinking to myself, holy cow. They have a problem with handwriting 117 letters to get a listing that they're going to make 10, 12, 15,000 on. Come on. Okay. Again, these things individually all work. They work better when you do it in a concentrated area. Does anybody have, I'm curious, does anybody have a geographical focus? Well, actually, I know Doug does, Courtney. I know Tony does. Courtney, will you talk about what you did in terms of market share in your market in town and how you did it?
Well, I got into real estate with little ones, like a lot of the women probably in this group. And so I did not want to be traveling all over. Time was my, what I was trying to achieve. So I could not miss my kids' sports and stuff. So I chose to pretty much just hit up Mariposa until I grew my brokerage and had agents that wanted to do other markets. But I also specifically targeted the median home price and the first-time home buyers and had a first-time home buyer program and focused on that because I wanted to have as many signs out as possible for branding as opposed to looking at the higher price points.
Yeah. By the way, folks, news alert, even with all of the internet technology today, AI, do you know how the consumer determines who the market leader is?
They see last.
Signs in the neighborhood. It's signs in the neighborhood still today. Just like you just said. Okay. And, you know, and I have often said that when you get this phone call, hey, Michelle, would you come by and tell us what our home is worth? We see your signs all over the neighborhood, so you must be familiar. When you get that phone call, you have arrived. Okay. And I can tell you that phone call does happen. I had a geographic farm in Sacramento, not far from my office at Point West, and I would get those phone calls regularly. And it's such a nice thing because basically what they're saying is come list my home. Right? There's no competition. When Tom and I were doing those expireds, we did get a lot of them, but man, geez, sometimes we, you know, it'd be 5, 6, 7 people on that expired appointment. And it's no fun having to compete with Tom Daves, okay? So if you can get a Just List Me instead, isn't that better? Tony, you're doing something with YouTube. By the way, if you guys haven't subscribed to Tony's YouTube channel, you should. I think you just broke 1,000 subscribers. Come off mute and tell us a little bit about your experience with YouTube. I think you just closed a $5 million deal off of it not too long ago, right?
That's correct on both accounts. Thank you, Don. I appreciate that.
What is it? If people want to follow your YouTube channel, what is it?
Living in Tahoe.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And so how long have you been working on your channel?
2 years now.
2 years. Okay. And when would you say that it started really working?
This spring. So about 1.5 years in.
Okay. Guys, how long do you think the average agent stays with a strategy in the real estate business? What percent do you think stay with it more than 18 months with little to no result? We can calculate that percentage on one hand, okay? It's small, I'm telling you, right? There's just almost no competition for you if you will actually, well, first of all, we have, like Gary Keller would tell us, follow the people that have gone before you, right? In other words, if you want to have a successful YouTube channel, talk to somebody like Tony. Okay, well, Tony, if you could do it over, like now, Tony, by the way, knowing what you now know, do you think you could have shortened that learning curve a little bit?
I don't know. Well, my videos have gotten better through my experience, and I'm targeting different areas by getting the comments from my people reading my videos. So I'm listening to my people watching the videos. So knowing what I know, yes, I could do it quicker, but still it takes time.
Yeah.
Maybe 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, right. Well, it took you about 18, right? To get real traction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Wow, that was weird. I'm sorry. A phone came into my mobile and it's somehow synced with my laptop, and then it just shut. You guys all went away for a second. I hope you were having fun while I was gone. Anyway. Okay, hey, let's get back to Seth's book because I have an interesting opportunity for us. Remember, Seth Godin, this is strategy, okay? And he's written this book in a different way. It's not like a story. It's actually 294 discussion points. And what Seth suggests is that you form a group of 4 to go through the book. Now, what I'm doing for you guys today is I want to apply this in a particular context. I want you guys to form a group of 4. So if you're interested in participating in this, and there will be a reward, I want you to reach out to Megan and say, yes, count me in. And I already have 1 or 2 or 3, my whole group of 4, or yeah, Megan at proinsight.com. Okay. But I want to be in, and I want to be in a group of 4, and then she will organize you with my assistance into a group of 4 people. Okay. Now, Megan, do you know when am I up next for Atomic Habits?
I think in January. Let me double check.
Okay, Julie is in, Megan, so count her in.
Awesome.
Yeah, actually, by the way, if you guys want to participate in this, and I love it that Julie's in, by the way, who is a top producer.
Yeah.
And Lisa's in, Tracy's in, and you guys don't even know what the reward is yet.
Well, now it has to be good.
Yeah, right. It's a ticket to Cabo. Okay, so here's how we're going to run this thing.
It's great.
Okay.
Gene.
You get yourself, so condition number one is you get into a group of 4. Okay, so you figure out, you either assemble your own group or you just get that to Megan and she and I will organize you into a group. And then Megan's going to give me when I'm up next, but your group needs to meet 4 times. And each one of those meetings, one of you presents your plan. Okay. During this period of time, any of you, if you put your plan in writing, can submit it to me and I'll do a separate one-on-one to coach you. Okay. Now, then what we'll do with each of the groups that are formed is we'll set up a Zoom between the 4 of you and me. And then we'll have you all present your plan, all 4 of you. And the one that wins will go into the finals for the next time that I'm presenting at Atomic Habits. Ideally, we'll have 3 or 4 groups, so we have 3 or 4 finalists. And then we'll come up, Megan will come up with a voting system so that all of you guys can vote on the validity of these strategies that are presented to us. And man, I think we're going to hear some great strategies. Go ahead, Megan.
Are we doing Atomic Habits on New Year's Day, the first?
No.
Then the next one would be the 8th, and that would be your hosting. So January 8th.
Okay. All right. So we will do the finals on January 8th. Okay. And the winner of that is going to get a ticket to the event in Cabo. Okay. And if you say, well, I already bought my ticket in Cabo, well, then you can bring a guest. Tell who Tony's into. Okay. So Courtney's asking, can the plan and strategy be related to, what are you asking here?
Yeah,
Attraction.
Oh, attraction. Sure, absolutely. Yeah, this is primarily about production, but what we'll do, Courtney, is we'll do it based on the quality of your strategy. And that could be applied for attraction or for production. Tony's going to do both. Okay. So let's go over this again. First, you're going to get into a group of 4. You're going to, between now and January 8th, your team of 4 is going to meet 4 times. At each of the meetings, one of you is going to present your plan. Now, my suggestion is go first, okay? Because that's going to give you the most amount of time to iterate your plan. Plus, you can put it in writing. That means you could also get yourself a one-on-one with me, and I'll help you refine it. And then you guys need to agree and organize it with me. Megan will get you in touch with me on that. But then I need to be present at your final of 4, right? So each of you do your 4 meetings, and then I'll come on the 5th meeting where you 4 present, and that's who will decide who goes to the finals. Okay. So we need to get hopping on this because it's already November 15th. We basically have 6 weeks to decide who's going into the finals. Okay. So you're going to pretty much be needing to meet every week between now and the end of the year because we've got a couple holidays in there. All right. So, by the way, Amir, I don't know if you had stepped away when I talked about you, but I saw that post on that 2.75% fixed assumable income property, that 2.75% loan on the income property.
Correct.
Russell said you guys put it in escrow in 1 day.
Yeah, already five offers already pending. I didn't change pending yet, but 5 offers and probably 30 calls.
What was the list price?
950.
Yeah,
50,
I mean,
assumable loan of 550. So that was a little bit challenging. Somebody has to come up with the 400,000, which I had 3 offers with 400,000 down.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, by the way, they don't have to come up with the balance. You could have come up with secondary financing, but the borrower does have to be able to qualify for the assumable payment plus the second.
I was telling everybody you need to come up with a balance. I wanted to make sure they can get along.
Okay, well,
But
I mean,
because I had so
you know,
much interest, so
well, if you have 5 offers, you don't have to make special accommodations now, do you?
correct. And then 2.75%. I don't think nobody in this call in our lifetime will see such a low interest rate ever. I mean, probably next 20 years.
Well,
right.
Aren't you the person that put somebody into a VA assumable at 2.85?
Yeah. I know Russell did some around 2 point as well, or 3%, right?
I think he did 3.25. Yeah.
I think so. It's below the inflation rate. So now you're locking the rate for next 30 years. Value of your money will go down, up, but mortgage payment will go down because of inflation.
Yeah, right. And
Yeah.
you guys, a lot of you poo-poo this because you're like, yeah, but who's got 400,000 or who's even got 200,000? Even a hard money loan on the second at 10 to 12%, when you look at the blended rate, like let's say it's a $500,000 first and a 200,000 second. In most cases, that blended rate is still going to be sub 4%. What's not to love about that?
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you don't have a buyer for that, any lender, by the way, right now, I saw a statistic the other day that we have the lowest rate of first-time buyers that we have had in since they kept the records. It's down to 24%, more normals in mid-40s. And it's because it's so darn unaffordable. We literally have an affordability crisis in America. How do you solve the affordability crisis? Do like Amir and Russell are doing. Do you think it is just a coincidence that these two guys are icon level producers and they happen to be the ones on our team that are getting these people into these fixed rate loans? Right? No coincidence at all. They make it happen, man. They do, like Tom, they're looking at the market and seeing what the opportunities are in today's market, and then they're developing a strategy around that. Courtney and I were meeting with a gentleman last week, and he's had a strategy of working with Bay Area investors, and it's been really good. I think he's probably going to join us, and he's an icon level producer, which is exciting, right? And but he confided in us that his strategy isn't quite working as good as it has been working. And one of the things that I assured him of, and that you can feel confident of as well, is that every market presents to you a unique environment that will respond to a strategy, right? Like I got into the business in 89. It was actually still pretty hot in 89, but it crashed in 1990. We went to war in the Persian Gulf in August. I mean, the market just fell off a cliff. And so most of my real estate active sales career was spent with inventory in Sacramento, 18 to 24 months. And so, whereas I came into the market with the condo king strategy, being a condo specialist, that strategy sucked once the market crashed. Okay. So then I became an expired guy, and I actually developed a geographical focus as well. But sometimes, and I'll leave you with this thought before we wrap up, is that when you're thinking of a strategy, it's generally not going to be a single pillar of activity. I know when Randy was coaching for the Tom Ferry organization, they taught him, and he was teaching his clients, basically this 4-pillar approach, right? So you choose a geographic area, okay? And then you choose 4 individual activity sets that support your goal of being number 1 in that market. So what would 4 activity sets be? Could be going after the expireds, withdrawals, and FSBOs in that market, okay? Could be doing open houses in that market. putting signs up all over the place. Could be door knocking that market. Could be getting a community website and getting involved with the professionals in that local area. Okay. Whatever those 4 things are that best suit your strengths, your personality, what gives you energy are the 4 things that you should choose. But what you're going to find, and then combine that with, say, direct mail, is that when you concentrate all of those activities into one small geographic area, it creates a magnified outcome. In other words, your mailing is more successful because they saw you at an open house 6 months ago. Okay. Your open house is more successful. You're the guy that's been sending me those postcards with the market updates for the last 6 months, aren't you? Yeah, I am. Okay. According to NAR, I know a lot of us are not super fans of NAR now, but they do have some interesting stats. The number 1 reason why people choose us, according to them, is trust. The number 2, local market knowledge. Okay, so I'm here to tell you, if you just don't have a strategy, choose to build your sphere, both personal and professional, out of one geographic market. It's a winning strategy, just like Russell told you. Okay. Virtually every single person that he interviewed that was a top producer when he got in was following some version of that strategy. Okay. So do what they did.
So, John, someone's asking the question if they can build a strategy around agent attraction as opposed to production to qualify.
Yeah, that was Courtney. And I said,
Oh,
absolutely.
okay, got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Yeah, no, of course, from my seat, I would appreciate that. I will be a super fan, Courtney. So anyway, yes, of course, we will. I'm not going to say that I'm going to give her special consideration because she's building my sales organization, but just saying. All right, you guys. Hey, I appreciate you. I encourage you to go pick up Seth's book. I encourage you to, if you haven't put it in the chat already, to reach out to Megan. And by the way, some of you have significant organizations on your own. And by the way, Clark, this goes for you too. You're a brother to us. Even though we're not in the same line, your people are welcome in the contest. And Cabo's on me. So we'd love to have you and your people.
Thanks,
all right.
John. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. And Danielle, great to see you. And congratulations on all your success. And hey, who's up next week, Tom? Do we know?
Yep,
Jackie.
have Jackie's leading it.
Got,
And let me pull up her speaker. It is going to be Matt. I'm not going to say this last name correctly. I apologize. Luzanko. He is the regional director of growth with EXP in Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, and South Dakota.
Super rock star, you guys. You don't want to miss that next week. I'm not kidding. You're going to come away with so many applicable learns and be very inspired. He is awesome.
Awesome.
So, come.
That's great. Well, Jackie, thanks for doing that. And Julie, great to see you. Yeah.
awesome. Well, thanks, John.
How was your
Nice. You got
experience?
your inspiration. Kind of put in a perspiration. Thanks, guys.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah. Hey, Julie, we'll have to catch up. See you guys.